All right, so you're finally turning a profit.
Yeah.
Things are going well.
Yeah.
But then you hit this certain level and bam,
Uh-oh.
massive tax hike.
Oh,
It's a real buzzkill, right?
definitely.
But the UK actually has a system to prevent that.
Okay.
And that's what we're diving into today. We're
Right.
talking all about this thing called marginal relief.
Interesting.
And we're pulling all this info from a recent blog post by MA and CO accountants.
Oh, yeah, I know them.
It's called Understanding Current Corporation Tax Rates and Marginal Relief in the UK.
Sounds thorough.
Oh, it is.
Good.
So you already know the UK has a tiered system for corporation tax.
Right.
But what's really interesting is how it transitions between those tiers.
Okay.
And that's where this whole marginal relief thing comes in.
Gotcha.
So can you kind of walk me through this? What's the bigger picture goal here?
Well, the goal is to really encourage growth
Oh,
and make sure that the tax burden increases gradually,
yeah.
rather than all at once.
It's like a big jump. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, think of it like a reward for success.
Right.
It's like the system wants you to hit those profit milestones,
Yeah.
but without getting slammed by a sudden tax increase.
Right. Like keep going.
Yeah,
'Cause we see you doing well, but keep going.
Yeah.
So how does this marginal relief actually work in practice?
Well, it all comes down to a formula,
Okay.
and it considers your taxable profits.
Right.
The upper limit is £250,000.
Okay.
And the formula itself is marginal relief equals 3 over 200.
3 over 200.
Yep. Times upper limit minus taxable profits.
Okay, this formula is a bit fascinating.
It is.
It implies this very specific relationship between your profit and your tax liability.
Yeah,
So can you walk me through that logic?
absolutely. So as your profits increase,
Yeah.
your effective tax rate also goes up,
Okay.
but it's at a controlled pace.
Right.
So it prevents these jarring jumps
Right.
that could really hinder a business.
For sure, especially a growing one.
Exactly.
Okay, I need a real-world example here.
Sure.
So say a company has a profit of £100,000.
Okay.
How would this play out for them?
Let's crunch the numbers.
All right.
So with that profit of £100,000, their marginal relief would come out to £2,250.
Okay.
Now, without that relief,
Yeah.
they'd be facing a tax bill of £25,000,
25,000.
full 25% of their profits.
Right.
But thanks to that relief,
Yeah.
their liability drops down to £22,750,
Wow.
which gives them an effective tax rate of 22.75% instead.
So it's a pretty substantial difference.
It is.
So we've got this cushion in place to help businesses navigate these tax brackets.
Yeah.
But what happens when a company is not a single entity?
Oh, interesting.
Like, what if there's multiple companies linked through ownership?
You're talking about associated companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are businesses that are connected through ownership.
Right.
So like when one person owns several different companies.
Gotcha.
And yes, they definitely come into play when we're talking about marginal relief.
So how do associated companies change things?
Well, essentially,
Okay.
the profit limits we've been talking about,
Yeah.
that £50,000 lower limit and £250,000 upper limit,
Right.
they get divided up among all of the associated companies.
Okay.
So for example, if a company has just one associated company,
Hmm.
the lower limit for relief is half to £25,000.
Okay.
And the upper limit also gets cut in half to £125,000.
So it's like they're all sharing this pie.
Right.
And the taxman wants to make sure everyone gets their fair share.
Exactly.
But it sounds like things could get a little tricky
Yeah,
if you're not careful about accounting for those associated companies.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's crucial to make sure you're accurately accounting for any of those
Yeah.
so that you're maximizing your potential relief.
Right.
A misstep here could cost you
For sure.
big time.
Yeah, big time. So it definitely seems like there's a lot of room for error.
Right.
So once you've done all the calculations,
Mhm.
taken all the associated companies into account, right.
How do you actually claim this marginal relief?
Well, luckily, it's a pretty straightforward process.
Okay.
You just calculate how much relief you're entitled to
hmm
and include that amount directly on your corporation tax return.
Okay, so no ancient rituals required.
Mhm.
That's good to know.
Simple.
Speaking of changes,
Yeah.
I know there were some recent updates to corporation tax rates,
Uh-huh.
specifically back in April 2023.
Right.
Can you refresh my memory on what exactly changed?
Yeah. So the main rate for profits over £250,000
Okay.
was increased to the current 25%.
25%.
But as part of those changes,
Yeah.
they reintroduced marginal relief for profits between £50,001 and £250,000.
So it's kind of like a balancing act then?
Yeah.
High rate for the big earners,
Mhm.
but a little help for those in the middle ground.
Exactly.
It really highlights how dynamic this whole system is.
It does.
Do you think these changes were a net positive?
There's always going to be debate around tax policy.
But I think the reintroduction of marginal relief was a positive move for sure.
Okay.
It shows a commitment to supporting businesses as they grow.
Right.
Which is so vital for a healthy economy.
I'm curious, though.
Yeah.
Some might argue that this system disproportionately benefits larger companies.
That's a good point.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, while marginal relief does benefit companies of all sizes.
Within that band.
Yeah, within that specific profit band.
Right.
Larger companies with more resources might be in a better position to optimize their tax strategies.
Right. They've got the teams of accountants.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the mechanics of marginal relief.
We have.
But beyond the potential tax savings.
Yeah.
Why should businesses really care about this?
Well, because marginal relief is about more than just saving money on taxes.
Okay.
It's really about fostering a supportive environment for growth.
Okay.
So by preventing these sudden tax increases,
right,
it gives companies the confidence to scale up without fearing that financial hit.
It's like a safety net.
Yeah, it is.
For businesses that are ready to take that next step. Allows them to focus on growth and innovation.
Right.
Instead of constantly worrying about the tax implications.
Exactly. That sense of stability and predictability is crucial for businesses to make good decisions.
Right.
And invest in their future.
Yeah, imagine if every pound you earned,
I know, right?
Over 50,000 pounds was suddenly taxed at the full 25%.
That would be rough.
It would really stifle innovation and growth.
Totally.
It'd be like hitting a wall right when you're getting momentum.
Yeah.
This marginal relief, it acts as a ramp.
I like that.
Letting businesses smoothly transition to these higher profit levels.
Good analogy.
And then when you zoom out, look at the bigger picture. This support for growth ultimately benefits the whole UK economy.
For sure.
More successful businesses, more jobs.
More innovation.
It's a stronger economy overall.
It'll connect.
It's not just about saving money.
Right.
It's about creating this positive ripple effect.
I agree.
Throughout the whole ecosystem.
The whole thing.
So speaking of our listeners,
yes,
what's the key takeaway you'd like them to walk away with today?
Besides understanding marginal relief and the current rates, I think the most important message is this.
Okay.
Take an active role in understanding your tax obligations.
Okay.
Do your research. Ask questions.
Yeah.
The more you know about the available resources, the better off you'll be.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
It is.
Especially in this crazy world of taxes.
It changes all the time.
And that's where resources like this MA and CO accountant's blog post can be so valuable.
Oh, absolutely. They break it down really well.
They do.
Super helpful.
But remember, the tax landscape is constantly shifting.
Always.
What applies today might be different tomorrow.
Exactly.
So make it a habit to stay updated.
Stay informed.
On all the new developments.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, before we wrap things up,
I
want to touch on something specific to the source material.
Right.
The MANCO accountant's blog post was great.
It was.
But it focused specifically on the current situation as of November 2024.
Right.
And as we've discussed, tax systems are constantly evolving.
They are.
New legislation, changes in the economy, even political shifts can lead to adjustments in how corporations are taxed.
All the above.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's something I want our listeners to consider.
Okay.
Knowing that corporation tax rates and regulations are in constant flux.
Right.
How can you, as a business owner or a financial decision maker, stay ahead of the curve?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
It really encourages them to think beyond just this moment in time.
Right.
And consider the long-term implications.
It's about being proactive.
Yes.
Rather than reactive.
Absolutely.
Knowing that change is inevitable. How can they adapt their strategies to minimize their tax burden while still maximizing their growth potential?
It's a balancing act.
It is.
But a challenge worth embracing.
Because understanding these nuances of the tax system can be such a powerful tool.
It really can.
For any business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is a balancing act.
It is a tough one.
But as we wrap up our deep dive into the UK's corporation tax system, what are some practical steps that our listeners can take to make sure they're not just surviving, but thriving in this dynamic environment?
Well, first and foremost, don't hesitate to reach out to a professional tax advisors, like our friends over at MANCO Accountants.
Right.
They can offer some really personalized advice.
Okay.
Tailored to your specific needs and circumstances.
So they can really help you navigate all the complexity.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Identify potential savings and make sure you're in compliance with all the latest regulations.
It's like having a guide
to
help you navigate all the tricky tax waters.
Exactly.
And don't underestimate the importance of staying informed.
Oh, for sure.
Subscribe to industry newsletters, attend webinars, follow reputable sources, whatever works best for you.
Exactly.
To keep up with the latest changes.
Right, because knowledge is power.
It really is.
Especially when it comes to taxes.
And lastly, remember that tax planning isn't a one-time thing.
Yeah.
You don't just do it and forget about it.
It's an ongoing process.
Right.
It should be integrated into your overall business strategy.
Okay, so review your financials regularly.
Yep.
Consider potential growth scenarios. And adjust your tax planning accordingly. So be agile.
Yeah.
Be adaptable.
Be proactive.
Always thinking one step ahead.
Exactly.
All right. Well, with the right knowledge and guidance, navigating the UK's corporation tax system can become less of a challenge and more of a strategic opportunity.
I like that.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the ins and outs of marginal relief to the bigger picture of this dynamic tax landscape.
The whole bang.
Hopefully our listeners are walking away feeling empowered.
I hope so.
Equipped to tackle their own corporation tax journeys.
I think they are.
And if you find yourself needing some help, there are always resources out there, like those provided by MA&CO accountants.
Great resource.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Until next time.